come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. And as I said to the group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
Welcome to the Muslim Street. The words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on what would have been his 83rd birthday. Here with my co-host, Laila Abdelaziz. We got an excellent show waiting here tonight. And we wanted to get right to discussing what our topic tonight is going to be on hip-hop and its effect, Islam's effect on hip-hop in the community and in the country. And with us, we have Yahsmin and Binti BoBo, who is on the line from Oakland, California. She is co-founder, contributing editor of Loom magazine. She is an academic specializing in critical thinking and creative writing. She has her own podcast and audio anthology about her memoirs, her essays, and her fiction writer. She is an activist. She is a little bit of everything.
Yes. Again, welcome to the Muslim Street. Again, we opened up today with the strong and relevant words of Dr. Martin Luther King. Today marks 44 years since MLK's shooting and the 1968 shooting that killed him. Again, as Malik said, it would have been his 83rd birthday. Today, as we have Yahsmin on the line to speak with us, we reflect on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words as he says, "I want to get the language right." And we have a really interesting show about the history and the linguistics of hip-hop. Yahsmin is here to join us as we discuss the very interesting influence of hip-hop music, of hip-hop linguistics, of the influence of hip-hop on society, on culture, on synthesizing the culture and the localized problems of peoples around the world. Yahsmin, thank you for joining us on the Muslim Street. How are you?
Inviting me to be on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I was doing some research today, and actually, the influence of music and before we keep going, hip-hop is something that's been known around the world as music with a message. Hip-hop or spoken word or rap music, R&B. This is what's become known as music with a message, and it was the term hip-hop was keyed in the 1970s. Hip coming from the African-American vernacular, being current or in the know, and hop being that hopping beat that you get from the music vibe. But Malik, I want you to introduce Yahsmin's work to us and to the Muslim Street.
Yes, so Yahsmin has done quite a bit of writing on the subject of hip hop. Yahsmin, just want to kind of jump into a couple of questions. Islam and its influence historically on the hip hop movement since its inception back in the 1980s, vis-a-vis consciousness and activism. Can you talk a little bit about that effect of some of the rappers that we came to know, Public Enemy and people like Poor Righteous Teachers, Ice Cube, all affected by Islam, and their consciousness and the type of message that they were bringing in their music, Rakim and that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about how Islam sort of ushered in hip-hop?
Sure. First, just to clarify, we're talking more about one of the aesthetics of hip-hop culture, because hip-hop is a complete culture of visual arts and dance and music and instrumentation via turntablism. But being that we're talking about lyricism and language and linguistics today, we would be referring specifically to rap music. And I think part of the connection that first came about between Muslims and hip-hop was the fact that its practitioners were children, and they were the generation that followed the civil rights generation. And so a lot of our parents were somehow involved in this very fiery time where there was a lot of social change taking place, and we're the children of that. So we're being raised by these people who have a very revolutionary spirit. Also, it had a lot to do with the fact that the 5%er understanding and movement was on the rise for a while on the East Coast, and it was a cultural norm on the East Coast. And so some of hip-hop's earliest lyricists identified as 5%er, and eventually, many practitioners just identified as Muslim, period. And so that had a great deal to do with why you heard so many references to Islam within the songwriting and within the lyricism itself. I think youth identified with not only social change, but also a spiritual discipline such as Islam. And it found its way into the actual words and the actual message through artists like the ones you mentioned, Rakim and Poor Righteous Teachers, who, to my knowledge, were at the time identifying more as 5%ers. But nonetheless, those particular disciplines still borrowed some of their concepts and ideas from our religion, from Islam. And so it became sort of a fusion of street knowledge and a spiritual discipline and this cultural force that was like gaining hold and taking hold on the East Coast, and then eventually just spread everywhere, because now it's obviously a globally recognized cultural force.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit of that in the second segment, about its global impact, specifically on the Arab world and all over Africa. As we talk about the 5%ers, this is a movement that grew out of New York City in the late 1960s, and of course at the heart of the struggle for black power in the United States, and that whole consciousness theme carried through. I can remember in the mid-'80s, the late '80s, throughout the beginning of the '90s, where we mentioned these groups like Public Enemy. They were on the forefront. They were setting the specs for the consciousness of rap and the struggle around it, and raising the level of consciousness of youth, not only the black youth, which they came out of, but definitely they were able to build bridges with their message, and that message moved into suburbia. And can you talk a little bit about where that message transitioned into more of a, I think in the late '90s, into more of a dance kind of, party kind of mood, away from the core, which was that consciousness?
Well, I think what happened was, I don't know if we could put a particular date on it, but I think what happened was the people who were financing and financing the artists themselves, you know, the corporate push and the corporate pull had a greater influence on how the music changed and what got more airplay, basically what was on the radio and what was in rotation on our music channels. And so it's not that the music with more of a message or the artists with more of a purpose completely disappeared, but what was being financed and put out there and got the commercial attention that it needed and the marketing power that it needed was, unfortunately, more of the dance music or even some of the more misogynistic fueled messages that we sometimes associate with rap music, even though I tend to think that's just a part of American media and pop culture anyway. I think misogyny takes its form in different parts of popular culture and movies and film and cinema. But definitely I think it had something to do with what could make money. They often say that sex sells, violence sells, and this is true in any kind of media that you put out there. So it's not any different unfortunately, for rap music. And I think what you saw was just people being taken advantage of, or even perhaps people who wanted to be associated with that kind of gimmick. Like, you know, I'm from the Bay Area. Too Short was one of the biggest artists here, and he didn't have a strong social message to push. Most of his music was about his relationship, you know, with women. Yeah. So it wasn't so positive, and that definitely affected how people view hip-hop and rap music in a very unfortunate way, because I think they get the wrong idea. Where did the message go? If they weren't paying attention beforehand, they may not understand that there were artists like Rakim or even Tupac, because Tupac had a lot of very conscious music. He was raised by revolutionary people. You know, he came from a very sophisticated background in terms of his personal history, and you can hear that in some of his music.
Definitely. And Yahsmin, I really want to touch up on the conscience of hip-hop that really fueled the spread and development of hip-hop. Please, again, you're listening to The Muslim Street. Just stay on the line. We're going to hit a really quick break, and we'll be right back.